Hi everyone, welcome to Outgrow's seasonal webinar. This time we are going to talk about how you and your business can adapt to the changing needs of a post-pandemic world, and especially a world that is seeing a rapid economic boom across the board. Now, before I continue, I want everyone who has registered for the webinar to know that you can claim a special 1-month extended trial of Outgrow, which you can use to make funnels, quizzes, calculators, contests, chatbots, forms, tests, and e-commerce recommendations. There are more than 1,000 templates available at the outgrow.co website that you can easily adapt for your business during this trial period. But anyway, coming back to the point at hand, post-pandemic shifts in customer preferences are expected to be significant. The Economist and the Wall Street Journal both predict that a historic economic boom is just around the corner. New business formation is surging across the world as entrepreneurs seek to fill gaps in the market. Growth and marketing strategies during this period will therefore need significant changes, if not a complete overhaul. We're going to have 5 panels to explore this topic. The first panel is with Yelp and Freshworks and is about how customer engagement has been revolutionized in the post-pandemic world. The second panel is with Rand Fishkin and Entreport and is about revised marketing and advertising strategies for the post-pandemic economic boom. The third panel is with Alibaba and Zoho and is about small and medium business tactics for the post-pandemic economic boom. The fourth panel is with Zapier and Aweber and is about automation and growth hacks in the post-pandemic economic boom. And finally, the fifth panel is with Unbounce and Connectwell and is about landing page and interactive engagement in the post-pandemic economic boom. Welcome to Panel E. We are here with Joel McDonald, Technology Partnership Manager at Unbounce, and Andrea Bloom, CEO at Connectwell. And they're going to talk about landing page and interactive engagement in the post-pandemic economic boom. So without further ado, let's go on to the rapid fire round. Texting or talking?
I like to talk.
Texting.
Your personal marketing mantra.
Never start an online campaign without a dedicated landing page.
Expand your professional network.
Favorite day of the week.
Friday.
Monday is the start to an exciting new week.
Scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
I consider myself a pretty good driver. I would put myself about an 8.
10 because I focus on safety.
2022's biggest marketing trend.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is with Unbounce and say conversion intelligence, machine learning, artificial intelligence, getting those tools into the hands of customers at a low price point, an affordable price point for SMBs is going to be a big thing.
Acceleration of digital engagement.
Name one of the 7 dwarves.
Sleepy.
Happy. Can't you see why?
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Typically 2 cups, one first thing, another one maybe before lunch.
2 cups of coffee a day, but it must have 2% organic milk, heavily frothed.
What's something you could eat for a week straight?
I live in Vancouver and I would probably say sushi. There was a time in my life where I probably ate sushi for lunch almost every single workday. So I've almost lived that life.
Fresh mango. I could eat it all week.
Quotes for Joel McDonald. What strategies do you expect companies to use for expediting growth hacking in the post-pandemic period?
So a couple of things that are happening with the pandemic and we expect to keep happening with the post-pandemic is a lot of businesses are switching from brick and mortar and the more traditional business and going into online. So we're seeing a lot more e-commerce companies starting up. We're seeing definitely an increase in traditional companies starting to go digital. And as far as we can tell, it doesn't really seem like a lot of these companies are keen to go back. They're seeing better usage of online tools, We kind of assume that it's probably more cost effective to do sales online rather than in store, a lot of decreased overhead and stuff like that. So as far as we're expecting, a lot of companies are going to be kind of sticking to online. So there's a few things that have happened then due to that. This was already the case, but we're definitely seeing a lot more companies advertising online. So when you get more companies advertising in Google ads or Facebook ads or Instagram, that just means that your advertising budgets aren't going to go as far. You're basically dealing with more competition, more people competing for your keywords, for your target segments. So essentially what you have to do is you're going to have to learn to get more conversions out of that smaller amount of traffic. So a really good way to do that is to focus on getting a bit of a Swiss Army knife approach for different tools that you're going to use to help drive conversions and get value out of that traffic, because your traffic is shrinking. So you just want to ensure that you're really squeezing all the value you can get out of that traffic. One thing that I think is a bit of an advantage for small and medium businesses is that it's a lot easier for them to pick up new tools and try them out and be a little bit more versatile and quick, moving into different marketing stacks and trying out different things. In my experience working with larger companies and enterprise companies that use Unbounce, I know that it takes a really long time for those companies to be able to vet and actually use tools. There's a lot of security requirements that they have to go through. So they're a lot slower to move onto new technology and try out new things. So any small, medium business or entrepreneur, you have the advantage of just trying things out really quickly, trying out different tools and seeing what works for you and what gets you more conversions. At Unbounce, we have a lot of tools that we've seen our customers start to use to help get them more conversions out of their ad traffic. And the one thing that we've really started investing in is machine learning and artificial intelligence. So the one thing that I would say that you may have to do is kind of accept those tools as being part of your tool belt. There are some people who are a little bit hesitant to machine learning and artificial intelligence. It might be a little bit scary to them, but a lot of those tools can save you time and take away some of the more automation and mundane aspects of your job so that you can spend time doing what you need to do, which is coming up with really great campaigns and really great ideas. So we have a tool called Smart Traffic, which is a different way to run multiple variants of your landing page. Using machine learning, we have an algorithm that basically starts to determine segments of your traffic that convert better on different variants. So it may find out something like people from New York are going to convert better on your A variant for whatever reason. So it will start to proactively send people that are from New York to your A variant. So it's a really easy way to basically get better conversions out of your traffic. So yeah, that's the strategies I would say is be versatile, be quick to try out different things, look at all your tools and, start grabbing different things that you think will work for you. That versatility and that ability to be quick and to try different strategies is going to give you an advantage when you're dealing with a lot of these larger companies that are now starting to get into the same, advertising platform or the same advertising channels that you are currently in.
How can people keep track of what a good conversion rate is in the current and future business environments?
So for us, we always say that a conversion rate that is good is a conversion rate that's increasing. You always want to be working towards increasing your conversion rate. And just to make sure we're kind of talking in the same terms here, a conversion for us is whatever the goal of your campaign is. So if you're trying to sell shoes on Facebook ads, a conversion for you is someone purchasing shoes online. If you're trying to get leads by giving a PDF or some kind of, thought leadership piece, then getting that lead is a conversion. Sometimes the word conversion can be a little bit vague and people don't really understand, but essentially a conversion is going to be whatever really counts for you as a value driver, whatever is going to get return on your investment and whatever tools you're using, that's your conversion. So you always want to be kind of working to obviously increase that conversion rate. That's everyone's goal, is to get more conversions. And a lot of the tools that we've started to build and put into our platform are focused on helping people get better conversion rates. So I already talked about our smart traffic tool. That's a really easy way to kind of run multiple page variants and get more conversions based off of that. But there's other tools that we're starting to look into as well that can help people get better conversion rates. One thing we've looked into is copy generation using artificial intelligence. So there's been some amazing advancements in artificial intelligence recently, and we're starting to get to the point now where we can recommend different versions of your page with different copywriting. That's all done by artificial intelligence. So rather than having to invest time into building out different page variants with different ad copy or different page copy, you're going to be able to basically just have a tool that generates all those for you. And then you already have multiple variants that you can then run into one of our tools like Smart Traffic. So everything kind of runs together. This is the term that we're coining called conversion intelligence, which is kind of this flow of having pages built automatically using machine learning, having a tool that then routes the traffic to those different page variants, and then getting your insights afterwards and figuring out what's working for who and what different segments are really working for your business. So for us, we always want to make sure that we're kind of using those types of tools to increase conversion rate. Running different page variants is a really big part of that. Now, figuring out what is a good conversion rate for your industry can be a little bit tricky. You always want to find benchmarks and figure out, whether or not you're doing well or whether or not you're doing poorly. One thing that Unbounce has put out last year, and this is something that we're trying to do every year annually, is what we call our conversion benchmark report. So what that does is it just looks at the different industries that our customers are in and gives a benchmark conversion rate across all of those different industries. So you'd be able to say you're in professional services like maybe lawyers or something along those lines. You'll be able to look at that report and see what the average conversion rate is for the law industry. And not only do we show the conversion rate, we also have some copywriting recommendations. We show what kind of sentiment and language people are using that is getting the best conversion rates. For example, if it was something like lawyers, maybe having words that invoke trust are going to lead to having a better conversion rate. So that benchmark report, if you haven't seen it, you can look for it. Unbounce Conversion Benchmark Report. It's really easy to find. It's free to download. The other thing too is that we're starting to build that conversion benchmark report into our platform. So again, if you're using Unbounce for landing pages, you're going to eventually see, whatever industry you're in, we're going to let you know how your conversion rate is doing against the industry benchmark. And if there are any recommendations that our platform can give you that could help you maybe increase your conversion rate. Maybe there's a certain sentiment that you're not using. Maybe your pages are too long in word count. There's a lot of different things that we found that really influence conversion rate. So having those elements right in your hands is something that we're really working towards.
How best should one go about A/B testing in the current market?
So A/B testing is something that we've always had in Unbounce, probably since we started. We're about 12 years old now as a company. And A/B testing can still be an effective way to increase conversion rates for your landing pages, for even your ads. A lot of ad platforms, Facebook ads, have ways to run kind of A/B tests with different ads. The one thing that I would say is that actually running a successful A/B test where you get to a level of statistical significance with your traffic is really difficult. You typically need at least 50,000 visitors to validate a common like A/B to variant A/B test. And as I said before, the one thing that we're starting to see in this post-pandemic world is that the amount of traffic that your dollar can buy is decreasing. So getting to that level of traffic to hit your statistical significance is getting more and more difficult. And if you don't hit that statistical significance, there's a lot of problems that you could run into. One, you could get a false positive. So that means you think that one of your variants, let's say your A variant is performing really well, and you kind of pull the plug early saying, well, that's it. A variant is the best variant. We're going to run all of our traffic to that variant. If you didn't actually hit the statistical significant point of your traffic level, then it's likely that maybe that variant wasn't the best. Maybe if you would have ran it for longer, you might have seen a swing. So we see that issue a lot with A/B testing, is people not having enough traffic, pulling the plug too early on their test. So at Unbounce, I've already mentioned this, we have our smart traffic functionality. It's a different way to run multiple variants and basically get the best conversion rate across all of those variants. One thing, because it's doing this kind of dynamic traffic allocation in real time, it actually is able to work at lower traffic levels. So we've seen it start to make decisions at a traffic level of 50 visitors to a variant. It can already start to understand who is and who isn't converting on that variant and who it should route to which variant. Our smart traffic machine learning algorithm is able to see attributes of your visitor. So it can see, what location they're in. It can see what time of day it is. It can see what type of browser they're on. And if it starts to see patterns based off of those attributes, let's say everyone, on a Chrome browser, for whatever reason, is converting better on variant B, it then starts to automatically send Chrome visitors to variant B. So because it does this in real time, it can get to those better conversion rates quicker than your traditional A/B test. The other thing that smart traffic is able to do is it can take multiple variants at any point. You can basically throw a variant into your landing page and try something new. So that's one of the issues with traditional A/B tests, is you kind of have to run your A and your B for a certain amount of time. Then you get to your conclusion. You say, awesome, variant A is the winner. Everything go to variant A. That takes a long time. That's a lot of traffic, and you're likely sending traffic to maybe a bad performing variant for that entire time to get to that level of statistical significance and validation. With smart traffic, you can actually just throw variants onto your page, try different ideas in real time. Our smart traffic algorithm will take that variant into account, start to send traffic to it, figure out what works for it. And you don't really have to sit and wait for the conclusion of your test to try out different ideas or try out new things. So that's one of the real benefits of using that tool. The other thing that's really quintessential about smart traffic is it works on this idea that not everyone is going to convert best on one variant. So the idea of an A/B test, your traditional A/B test, is that, eventually over time, we figured out that variant A is the winner. Let's send all of our traffic from now on to variant A until we do another A/B test. Well, that's actually might be a flawed concept, because maybe there were some people that converted on variant B, and maybe that variant spoke really well to them. And now what you're doing is you're assuming that everyone likes variant A, but that might not be the case. So with smart traffic, you can run multiple variants, and our algorithm will eventually figure out what variant works for which visitor. And then you can basically always have those variants up and running. And those segments that smart traffic has figured out are always going to see the variant that speaks best to them. So that's kind of, I guess, what we think about A/B testing. It's something that you definitely can still do if you have the right level of traffic and you're able to validate it. But at the same time, there are other tools that are making this a lot easier. We're even seeing ad platforms like Google Ads, Facebook Ads. They kind of have similar functionality like this as well on the advertisement side. So you can basically create multiple versions of your ad and then let Google start to figure out which one it wants to send or to show to people. And they have their own kind of like back-end machine learning algorithms that do very similar stuff to this. So I would say A/B testing is starting to become a little bit too manual, a little bit too cumbersome, and accepting and supporting tools that use machine learning and take that guesswork out of your hands is probably going to get you better results faster.
Connectwell. How will the shift to telemedicine and virtual care driven by the pandemic create new health engagement tools that will address the costly US healthcare system and engage a diverse population in their health?
Great question. As COVID really turned healthcare on its head. First, let's talk about what happened with COVID and why the shift to telemedicine. Basically, when COVID first came on the scene, we didn't know very much about the virus. And the last place people wanted to be in was a healthcare facility where they could get the virus. So overnight, almost all in-person visits that were not based on acute care ceased. People canceled their appointments and delayed seeking care. Well, it's a problem for people to delay seeking healthcare services. If you take a look at this slide, you can see that 60% of Americans are living with a chronic health condition, and over 40% are living with 2 or more. The majority of these health conditions are driven by unhealthy lifestyle practices, and avoiding medical care for chronic health conditions makes the health condition worse. So what happened when everyone stopped going to the doctor? Well, telemedicine came to the rescue and filled the void so that people could get care virtually. We experienced unprecedented acceleration in the adoption of telemedicine and virtual care due to COVID. Some people in the industry say that 10 years of adoption happened in 3 months. Wow, that is quite a compression. Now, telemedicine was already a modality of healthcare, but it exploded due to COVID. While it exploded, people had the opportunity to see how they liked this format of medical care. A recent McKinsey report on telehealth found that 76% of people surveyed said they were highly likely to use telehealth moving forward. And they reported a high satisfaction rate with telemedicine. Well, that's a huge vote of confidence for telemedicine. As the pandemic persists and takes its twists and turns, and the very transmissible Delta variant is a risk factor for everyone, even the vaccinated, telemedicine will continue to accelerate. And more digital health tools will be developed to support this modality of care. The fact that people like this modality of care is opening up a huge opportunity in the development of telehealth options and digital care experiences. Massive investment is going to this area, and it is a way to scale healthcare services and push the overall cost of health down. So one of the key benefits is convenience. No longer does a healthcare appointment take half a day, where you have to take so much time away from work. And if you have a child, you're taking time off from your work and time off for your child from school. More people can access care through this modality because it's so much easier than going to the doctor. Employers can provide telehealth options for their employees and their families. Now, this should increase utilization of care. All of this has the potential to push the cost of healthcare down because of people going to see the doctor more frequently via telemedicine. Pre-COVID, telehealth revenues of providers amounted to $3 billion annually. Now, it's projected that this sector could comprise $250 billion of healthcare services. Talk about explosion. Wow, there's a lot of potential here. Basically, we're going to be seeing telemedicine 2.0 unfold and more sophisticated use of digital health tools to get people into what I call the care funnel. Let me tell you a bit about how we responded to this shift towards virtual care. Connectwell co-developed with Outgrow a suite of interactive digital health tools that help with virtual triage to get patients into the care funnel. Connectwell is expert in providing consumer healthcare information, which we source from the UC Berkeley School of Public Health. And Outgrow is expert in creating engaging interactive content experiences. Combining our areas of expertise, we developed interactive digital health tools on numerous health conditions for healthcare providers, health plans, employers, and benefit providers to outreach to their patients, members, and employees to virtually assess people's risks for health conditions and help them seek care by directing them to what is known as the digital front door, the care provider. Let's go back to COVID. Due to the persistence of COVID, many people are still reluctant to seek out healthcare services. Continuing to defer care is not in the best interest of anyone, not the patient, provider, or payer. Let's take high blood pressure and high cholesterol, for example. They're risk factors for heart attack. You want to get those people who are high risk for high blood pressure, high cholesterol treated early, assess their risk virtually so that they don't end up in an acute situation with a heart attack. Now, a lot of people during COVID have delayed getting their colonoscopy or mammogram. This has resulted in numerous cancers, and it's really too bad. With our digital health tools, these health risks can be assessed, and then people can get the care they need and take action. So that's what these tools are about: outreaching to the healthcare consumer, enabling them to test their knowledge, assess their risks using an evidence-based tool, learn more about their health condition, and then lead people to the digital front door of the healthcare provider. They can get the care they need, many of which is delivered via telemedicine. Here is contact information on our websites where you can learn more. I encourage you to reach out so we can help your organization to stay relevant in this ever-changing landscape of digital health engagement. We work with each of our customers directly to create custom experiences that increase engagement in their healthcare services. I'm going to take you to our website. So that you can gain a better understanding about these tools. On our website, Health and Wellness Tools, you can learn a lot more about each of our tools, the range of health conditions we currently cover. You can also see an example of a blood pressure assessment, and you can read our case study, which covers a very interesting case study we did on coronary heart disease risk, and you can see these incredible statistics. You can also learn how these digital health tools help your particular organization reaching out to your patients and members. We are part of the digital health ecosystem, helping companies extend the reach of their healthcare services with impactful, engaging health experiences. As part of the ecosystem, we accelerate the ability of a wide range of companies to take part in the explosive growth that is coming from telemedicine and digital health experiences that is right around the corner. Hold on, because it's going to be a wild ride, and say hello to healthcare of the future.
To remain competitive with new emerging healthcare business models, how can brick-and-mortar healthcare organizations transition to a blend of virtual and in-person services?
Building on my last question, this one focuses on the competitive pressures that traditional healthcare organizations face while competing with the new types of health organizations that are emerging. Some of these new telemedicine companies don't have brick and mortar facilities. As a result, their cost structure is much different and they are more cost competitive. This can make people switch providers and even move towards direct pay rather than use insurance, especially if they have a high deductible. So it will be very important for these traditional brick and mortar healthcare companies to have a blend of services and utilize digital health tools to get people into their services for in-person care where they have a competitive advantage over these other types of healthcare companies. I'm going to provide you with an example of how the Connectwell Outgrow tools can do just that: activate people in their care, then take action by going to the healthcare provider. I'm going to use diabetes as an example. This is a disease that is exploding and where I spent over 10 years of professional experience watching this disease grow exponentially across the US and the world. Type 2 diabetes and prediabetes are preventable and reversible, and it's best treated when caught early. The most recent data on this disease doesn't bode well for this country. An estimated 13% of all US adults have diabetes, and 34.5% meet the criteria for pre-diabetes. That's almost 50% of the population. Based on this, the US Preventative Services Task Force recommendation statement was revised. It's now recommended that people are tested for pre-diabetes and diabetes starting at 35 years of age if they are overweight or obese. So let's see how the Connectwell Outgrow digital health tools can get people into traditional brick and mortar care to get their treatment started early in the disease process and reach a wide swath of people. Imagine you get an email from your health care provider and it says, about 50% of American adults have either type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, yet 21% of people with type 2 diabetes and 84% of people with prediabetes are undiagnosed. The good news is that both conditions can be well managed with medical care and the adoption of healthy lifestyle practices. Test your risk for diabetes now. So this is the hyperlink that takes you to the risk assessment for diabetes. So let's see what that looks like. You can imagine with an email like that, and information saying that so many people are undiagnosed, that you're likely going to click on that because you may be one of those undiagnosed people. So this is what our tool looks like. And you can see here, it's customizable because it says Organization X. What I'm going to do is walk you through this so you can see how it helps people learn about the disease and their risk factors are being tested. So I'm going to click here and I'm just going to answer the questions, not as myself, but for a woman who's between 46 and 65 and has risk factors for diabetes. Now it's going to ask me about my body mass index. So I'm going to put a height in here of 5 feet 3 inches, and I'm going to put a weight of 150 pounds. And then it asks for my physical activity because this also directly impacts risk factor for diabetes and pre-diabetes. So let's say this person's low activity. And how often do you eat packaged or processed food that is higher in sugar? So as we learned from the previous question, these health habits are drivers of these diseases. So this individual consumes highly processed food 3 to 4 times a week, sugar sweetened beverages 1 to 2 times a week, enjoys her takeout 1 to 2 times a week. And what kind of symptoms is she experiencing? Well, let's say she has increased thirst, and she also takes cholesterol lowering statin drugs, which is a risk factor. Her ethnic background is white, and she's not sure if she has high blood pressure. She is experiencing some numbness and tingling in her hands and feet. And she did deliver a baby over 9 pounds. She does have a grandparent with type 2 diabetes. And you can see here, my name's populated in here, but this is where you can capture intake so that the healthcare organization can reach out. Person taking it could also skip if they wanted. So now I'm going to submit my inputs. So based on my inputs, you can see I'm high risk for diabetes. As you can imagine, someone reading this is learning about what this means, effects on health, screening for diabetes, how to, find out if you really do have diabetes, and then risk factors for diabetes. This button right here, the call to action, is what I call the care funnel. This is what lead people to get a lab test or to get their healthcare appointment scheduled. And as you can imagine, someone who's high risk would likely click that. Additionally, we have here click to learn more. So maybe I want to learn more about diabetes since, wow, I'm high risk for it. So here is our article recommendations tool. And I'm going to click here. I want to learn more. And I want to learn more about type 2 diabetes. Maybe I want to learn about the causes of diabetes. Again, it's taking my information right there. It's pre-populated. And here's my reading list. So I can spend a lot of time reading in this area. And maybe I want to look at risk factors for type 2 diabetes because I came up that I'm high risk. So here's an article from the Connectwell site talking about risk factors, and I can spend as much time as I want really looking at this. So I know I'm, based on the inputs, overweight. I am physically inactive. I had a pregnancy with a high birth, and I'm taking some medications. So now I'm reading this and I'm feeling like, wow, I'm going to go back here and I need to connect to my healthcare provider because I really want to do something about this. So as you can see, this is a great way to reach people virtually. As a brick and mortar facility, get them into your brick and mortar facility and start the care needed. This is a great way to blend these virtual care tools with brick and mortar and remain competitive.
As the healthcare system shifts from chronic care to prevention, do you expect there to be an explosion of virtual preventive care services?
Yes, absolutely. I expect there to be explosive growth of preventative health care services created and deployed in a virtual format. Many preventive care services are uniquely suited to be delivered virtually because people are not yet ill, so therefore they don't need to be examined. Think about the explosion in apps to help people with mental well-being and being able to deliver care virtually. There is also high growth in digital therapeutics designed to help people manage conditions like diabetes. These types of services can be designed to serve people prior to getting ill. You can see here that unhealthy lifestyle practices are driving these chronic conditions, which account for the majority of healthcare costs and leaving the majority of people with one or more chronic conditions. Let's take a look at the unhealthy lifestyle practices driving these illnesses. So many people report sleep problems. Most people are not getting the physical activity guidelines recommended. 70% of people are obese or overweight, and up to 90% of healthcare visits are due to stress. There's a lot of opportunity for improvement here, as you can see. So let's talk about overweight and obesity, since it's such a significant problem that a majority of people face. The weight itself is not the problem. It's the health conditions that are driven by the weight that are a significant problem, such as diabetes, pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome, joint issues, and more. If we can address the weight, then we can help address these debilitating chronic conditions. Now, this problem just got a heck of a lot worse during COVID. So many people report gaining weight during the pandemic. The new joke is, I gained the COVID-19. It's now a replacement for the freshman 15. Imagine if obesity prevention was something that was part of preventive care services. Now, I'm not talking about going on a diet and accessing the diet industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry that keeps people coming back after they regain the weight and are ready for the next diet. I'm talking about obesity prevention as part of covered healthcare. These types of programs teach healthy eating, which includes cooking, grocery shopping, making healthy choices when eating out. They all can be delivered virtually. They are scalable in group format, pre-recorded sessions, and one-on-one coaching assisted by an app. As healthcare moves towards value-based care, these types of preventive services are going to be essential to manage the total cost of population by reducing illnesses that are so costly to manage. So I'm going to show you how the Connectwell Outgrow tool can get people into an obesity program. As you can see here, this is the welcome page, which is customizable with our clients' logos, our names, etc. So you can send this out to your population and let them find out if they're at risk for obesity. So I'm going to go through this like I did the diabetes one, and I'm going to reply here, not as myself, but as someone else. So 150 pounds, 5'3". Again, I am low activity, like I input into the diabetes. Do I have a family history of obesity? Yes, I do have family members who are obese. I did not have diabetes during my childhood, or I was not obese. Now, this is the kicker here, because you may not be obese now, but your eating habits are a risk factor for becoming obese later. So I consume large portion sizes. I like to eat out. In my eating out, I do consume fast food. And I do spend much of my day sitting. That's why I'm low activity level. I do eat packaged and processed foods, and I do like my sugar sweetened beverages. Again, this was just auto-populated because I'm using it right now, but the person taking the risk assessment would input that. That's how you capture their name. So I'm submitting my inputs, and there I'm high risk for obesity. So as someone reading this, I'm going to get concerned about all of these numerous health conditions that my excess weight may lead me down the path to. So as I read this, I'm not excited. I'm starting to get very worried about this, and my attention is grabbed. So this call to action button can say anything our client wants: connect to care, start a program, enroll here, whatever you like, and it would take people directly to that page. You know, I may want to learn more about obesity before jumping right into enrolling in a program. So because I found out that I'm at risk, I definitely want to learn more. I may go to this obesity overview. Again, there is the contact information there. And I have this nice reading list right here. Here is where I can connect to my care options, enroll in a program, whatever our client wants. So I may read this article and trying to learn why what's driving obesity. And as I read this, I can see myself in some of these areas that are covered. So this helps people learn more about their condition. Again, grabs their attention. There's lots of areas to learn more because we have so many other reading lists. But after reading that, I'm going to go back and connect to my care options. So as you can see from this is a great way to enroll people in a program virtually. In addition to licensing our interactive digital health tools co-developed with Outgrow, healthcare companies can license Connectwell digital content suite for numerous healthcare conditions, whether that be for nutrition, physical activity, weight management, musculoskeletal health, healthy sleeping, mental well-being, stress management, and other areas where prevention is key. We can get a healthcare organization up and running quickly to deliver these preventive care services. There is so much room to grow in the preventive healthcare services areas. My gosh, we're less than 3% of healthcare costs now, and we need to flip that right now. Instead of spending 70% on chronic conditions, as we invest in healthcare, we will reduce the need to treat those chronic conditions. Our interactive digital health tools can remotely engage people to get them into these services, and all of these programs can be delivered remotely as well. The exciting transformation towards scaling preventive healthcare through virtual services is just around the corner.